Shows us how holy the
Yeah, that's what it's talking about. Okay, do we start at the new parak?
In Mamiden.
In Mamiden. Good?
Good.
See where it is? 22, 21, 21. 21. Another 2 pages. Okay, the parak starts like this. Ein ma'amidin behema b'kondakoy shalev de'kochavim b'neshach shedim al arviyah. You're not let up when you stay at an inn, so they have a place to keep the animals. It's a idolatrous inn. You're not allowed to put your animals in there because they're suspected that they may be intimate with your animals. Now, what's the problem with that? They're going. Problem is that it's with naiva. You're giving them you're an accomplice. You're enabler. You're enabler. You're giving them this ability to do a sin, which they're not allowed to do because they're b'nei noyach. B'nei noyach, one of the Sheva mitzvahs is that they can't live with an animal. Well, also a woman should not be secluded with a non-Jew, with an idolater. Because we don't trust them also when it comes to promiscuous behavior with the women. Now, no one should be with a non-Jew because they're suspected of murder. Obviously, the problem is, so why do we have to come on to Arias? And if they come on to that they may be promiscuous, if even before that you have a problem of murder. Yes, the answer is that they don't kill women. They save the women for Arias, but the men they would kill. So, anyway, that's probably the shot. Okay, let's see the Gemara.
With the women that they stole way back when, we were worried if one was taken to Shivya. That's something they were done as. I don't
They're
know.
forbidden to the husband.
They were forbidden because we're
discuss about that. The small daughters. Her small daughters. Super stuff of Gimel. You know, I remember that.
I don't remember.
Stuff Gimel. Those captive girls. In Subas. It's like which simon in Shofnar is the laws of fish. Or is it?
Taf Gimel.
No. It's simon pei Gimel. Gefilte fish. Okay. Ramini, there's a contradiction. I have a brisa that says like this. We just said in the Mishnah that we suspect them for being intimate with animals. Bestiality. Now there's a problem because a carbon cannot be taken from an animal that act was committed with that animal, with this animal. So you can't use it. So why are you allowed to buy an animal from a non-Jew? If you can't put your animal in their stable because maybe they're going to do it, how can you buy any animal from them? Maybe to use as a carbon, maybe they did bestiality with it and it's finished. Well, in this brisa, it says you are allowed to buy a carbon for them, and we don't suspect that it was a male animal. Maybe it was is the male. Nirva would be the female. We don't suspect that this was a male animal that mated with a woman. We don't suspect that it was a female animal that mated with a man. We don't suspect that maybe it was designated to be offered as a sacrifice to an idol. We don't suspect that it was served as an idol. Some places they worship cows and stuff. Now the Gemara explains like this. I can understand why we don't suspect that this animal that you're buying from them was used as a sacrifice to an idol, or maybe it was worshipped itself, because if it would have been designated like that, and if it would have been worshipped, then he would never have sold it. It would have been too holy for him to sell. He never would have said. The fact that he's selling it means that he didn't treat it like this. So, okay, so now you're allowed to purchase it. We suspect that maybe bestiality was committed with this animal, right? He would sell an animal that he does with. Amarav Tachlif, Amarav Shila, Barabina Mishmei Rav. Going to get an answer in the name of Rav. Wine is a separate problem. You're not allowed to buy wine from a non-Jew.
Maybe he was.
Yeah, but then there's another issue. You might marry the daughters. That issue was extended. So we have an answer in the name of Rav. It's an answer that covers all our bases. It says like this: that if it's his own animal, he doesn't want to commit bestiality with it because apparently, when a male would live with a female, a man would live with a female animal, that female animal would become sterile. And he didn't want to ruin his animal, so he wouldn't live with his own animal. So when it comes to buying any animal from them, it's their own animal. We don't have any concern. We only have a concern with you putting your animal in their stable, what they're going to do. It resolves the contradiction. The Gemara says like this, 1 second. What animal becomes sterile? An animal. These have to go on the bookcase. I just didn't get a chance. Just put them on the thing. Don't put them too far because they belong right in this shelf. Okay. Just take a chair over here and put it on this chair. No.
Rodney Dangerfield, no respect.
So disrespectful.
Okay, so this makes sense when it comes to female animals that they may become sterile. But male animals don't become sterile if a man lives with this male animal, right? It won't become sterile. Rav Kana, so now Rav Kana comes in and he gives an answer. Rav Kana is a student of Rav. And so we have an answer from Rav. Animal's going to become sterile. Doesn't resolve all our issues because we had a question, what about male animals? So Rav Kana comes in and says, if a man would live with a male animal, it would ruin the meat on the animal. It would become weak and wouldn't sell the same. Maybe it wouldn't be able to do work, wouldn't sell. Okay. So in other words, he doesn't want to do that to his own animal, even if it's a male animal and it won't become sterile, but it has other issues. So he's not going to do that. Ella, what the Tanya? We have a question. So we learned in a Brisa. Brisa says that loichen behema meroya shalehem. You're allowed to buy an animal from one of their shepherds. Someone asks, what are we going to do with you when you buy the animal? You're allowed to use it for a sacrifice, right? Still 1 second. Maybe the shepherd lived with the animal. What was our answer before? That with his own animal, he's not going to live with. Okay, it's not his own animal. It's the shepherd, the non-Jewish shepherd. The Gemara says, no. The shepherd you have to trust. Because the shepherd is concerned he's not going to get his pay. So you have to check these out. They do background checks on the raya, they make sure
in hospitality, in hotels, and when you're worried about the maid stealing your money or this or that, if there's any chashash, I've heard that money's been stolen, they're fired right away. So they are definitely not going to steal any money. That is their job. I mean, I heard
right.
That. It's true.
Although
I still wouldn't be
my sister-in-law
had her
accused the maid of stealing the jewelry. Said, I'm going to call the police. Anyway, the maid came back.
That's true with the amount.
The maid came back with jewelry that she didn't even know she lost. It's like stuff that, for a long time, like has been missing. Yeah.
That's in
Anyway,
your house.
yeah, this is from my house.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
that's the.
Raise from
Your
the
bird.
Scott. They didn't use it anymore. But she brought back the Jew.
But they didn't do a police.
This is catching.
Okay, the shepherd, you don't have to worry because the shepherd is going to be concerned that he's not going to get his pay. So we had a question, we answered the question. Basically what we're doing is we need to resolve these contradictions. Are we worried about what they're going to do? It seems like we're not worried. But we'll start in the Bryce saying, it says that you're not allowed to, a Jewish person is not allowed to give an animal to the shepherd. 1 second. You just told me the shepherd's not going to, you can trust the shepherd. He's not going to get paid if he's going to do anything inappropriate. So now you're telling me you can't give it? What's going on? One answer is, when it comes to non-Jews, they know each other, what they're doing. The non-Jew does this, so he thinks that the shepherd knows that the non-Jew knows because this is their type of behavior. Anan, but when it comes to a Jewish person, we don't know about these things. The Jew doesn't do this, so he thinks that the non-Jewish shepherd thinks that the Jew that won't even think of that I'm going to be doing it. It's only when they do it themselves that they know that the other person's thinking that this is what they're doing, and this is what they do. You follow this Gemara? You hear what the answer is?
He didn't know how the shepherds worked.
That's what we say, Gerald, if you recognize a fault in someone else, there's a sticker. Otherwise,
this is different. This is, it does remind you of that, but this is that
the Jews are so naive, they'll never recognize.
Yeah, that you can't fool a, you can't fool the guy that does it himself. You
can't steal.
Yeah, they're right.
Okay. Amar Rabba. Rabba says, this is what people say in expression, Michtava Glala Baza. They used to have an iron pen. It was like a chisel. It was what did they use?
Stylus.
A stylus, yeah. What did they do for the uniform? Some sort of stylus, right? So anyway, it's like a chisel. He says the chisel, which is hard, breaks through the marble. Scores the marble. Rigla bechavre yada. Similarly, someone that's a tattletale, someone that's not a tattletale, a gossiper, knows that his friend is gossiping also. That's what he does. He knows that everyone does it. Okay. Now the Gemara says, Ihachi, if that's the case, Zacharim minakebes leinisper. We resolved most of our issues. We didn't resolve every single issue. Resolve the issue that a female animal no man would live with his own animal because it's going to become sterile. A male animal he's not going to live with because it's going to become weak. A shepherd you don't have to worry about because they're not going to get their pay. So we resolved almost everything except if there would be a male animal, you shouldn't be allowed to buy a male animal from a female, from a woman, because maybe the woman took the animal on herself. Now, that's not going to weaken the animal, and it's not going to make the animal sterile. And there's no pay over here. It's not a shepherd. We shouldn't be allowed to buy it. You said you can buy animals from a non-Jew. Here's the scenario where you shouldn't be allowed to buy it. The Cheshina and Dilma Marbale. Maybe she brought the animal on herself. Umar says no. Even the migriba mirtasa migariba mirtasa. What happens is, if the woman would have done this, then that male animal would never leave that woman alone. It would always hang around that woman like.
We learned this.
Yeah, we had a gemara like this before.
With the dogs.
Yes. Okay, so we have an answer now. Woman is afraid to do this because she'll never be able to get rid of that animal. 1 second. Rabbi Yosef taught Armalta Leitirbe Kalba Leitishrei Barbe Rav Goshbiza. A widow should not have a pet, raise a dog. And also, a widow should not have a yeshiva student in her house. Even though it's not a problem of yichud, but nevertheless, she shouldn't do that. Now, Bishlema Barbe Rav Tzniela.
Wait, why is it not a problem?
Whatever the case is, the door is open, I
so
don't know,
they
whatever.
can avoid
We're
that.
talking about maybe there's someone else, whatever. But she shouldn't do this. She shouldn't do this. Now, Bishlema Barbe Rav Tzniela. I understand why we have a concern of the yeshiva buff. The yeshiva guy is not going to go around boasting to his friends, you know what I did with that woman. He's not going to do that. So therefore, she's not afraid of being inappropriate with him because he's never going to tell it to anyone. Who's he going to tell it to? His friends?
So the shame.
If it would be a regular, like non-Jewish person so she would never do anything with him because she knows that everyone's going to hear about it. He's going to go boasting about it. But the yeshiva bach is never going to say anything. So that's specifically that case you shouldn't have in her house. I'm sorry. Ella kalba. However, the dog, even the migraba mirtasa, she should really be afraid of doing anything with the dog because the dog's never going to leave her alone. So why do you say there's a problem? We know that she's not going to do anything. She doesn't want to get stuck with this issue. She's going to be careful. Even the chishad yeleyumta misracha basrei, she has a solution. She can throw meat to the dog, and the dog is going to follow her. People will say, "I the misracha basrei." You want to know why the dog keeps following this woman? Because of the meat that she threw to the dog, and that's why the dog is following. So, in other words, since she has a way out of this this reputation. So therefore, we have a concern that maybe she's going to do that with the dog.
Does that mean she has to do that in public, throw the meat to
No. What we're saying is that she's not allowed to have a dog in her house. You told me that shouldn't be a concern because the reason why it still is a concern of what she might do is because she may be able to get rid of that bad name and to throw a now.
Yeah, I see problem. I think dog, couple of balls, but nobody understands why.
No, the problem with the dog is that the dog is never going to leave her alone. Everyone's going to see this dog hanging around this woman. They're going to say, "Oh, we know what they did." But she has a way out of that by throwing a piece of meat to the dog. Then they'll say, "No, we don't know what she did. The reason why the dog is doing that is because the dog likes the meat that she keeps feeding her."
So what does it say? Rashi says domestic animals that are not carnivorous, meaning they do not adhere to one who feeds them. So what is he saying? There's an exception to the rule. What does Rashi say there? You automatically assuming if she throws the meat, that's the excuse to why the dog's following her. But Rashi's saying, but not all dogs eat meat. Not any dog that I know. What is it saying?
No.
Cooking love meat.
No, I don't see that in Rashi.
No, in the English it's going to say it. Domestic animals that are not carnivorous do not adhere to the one who feeds them. I don't know where it comes from. I see Rashi.
Maybe they add.
I don't know.
Number 15.
I don't understand.
I don't understand it.
Breakfast. They had 15.
Well, the non-clinging animal, that you have
15.
relations with, so it doesn't cling, because it doesn't eat meat, so it's just as bad as a dog.
But dogs eat meat, they love it.
Right, so
Strict animals that
non.
do not eat meat, however, the probability that we think there is a concern. Oh,
Can you say maybe?
I don't think they're worried about her having sex with anything.
oh, so 1 second. So 1 second, what we're doing here, it's an important point that you're bringing up. Because what we're doing here is we were saying that there's a problem to, we said that male animals, you shouldn't be allowed to buy from a woman. So maybe the woman lived with those animals. And so we answered to that, no, you are allowed to buy, because the woman would never do anything with those animals because she'll never be able to get rid of it.
Right.
So we said, 1 second, by a dog, we're not concerned about that she'll never be able to get rid of it. We're actually concerned that she will live with the dog. Why by the other animals did you say that you're not concerned? Because she'll never be able to get rid of it. By the dog, you can say, don't worry that she can't get rid of it, she'll throw meat to it. So maybe by those other animals, you shouldn't be allowed to buy it because she'll throw meat to it. They're saying no. Those animals, they eat grass. And so therefore, that's why you're allowed to bring them as a sacrifice. Those are the animals you're allowed to bring as a sacrifice. It's only the dog that's a problem because it eats meat and she'll be able to. That's an important point. And now the Gemara has another question. The Keves eats on the Keves, my time alay miachtinan. We said that you shouldn't put your animals together with a non-Jew, right?
Non-Jewish, Jewish.
Well, 1 second. We said you shouldn't put your animals with a non-Jew. So, and in general. Now, the Gemara is asking, what are you concerned about if it's a female animal together with a non-Jewish woman? What's your concern? What are you worried about? It says, we're saying like this, that Marukva Bar Chama says that non-Jewish men would hang out with their non-Jewish men wives. Sometimes they're going to come to the house for the woman, for the friend's wife, and the friend's wife isn't home. So we're not worried about the woman with the female animal. We're worried about the neighbor with the female animal. If you want, I can tell you, this gets worse. Even if he finds the woman there, he's still going to live with the animals. The master taught, they would rather a Jewish animal than their friend, than their wives. Rabbi Yochanan taught, did you know this? The Nachash lived with Chava. Hitel bazuama. He put into her a poison, and that poison makes them desire animals. Yachi. 1 second. Yisrael Nami. Then how can we allowed to trust a Jew with the animal? My answer is Israel Shamdu al Sinai. The Jewish people that way went to the Mount Sinai. Paskazul Masan. The poison disappeared. Hashem gave them the Torah, it disappeared. However, what about the non-Jewish person that he was not on Har Sinai? So then, the poison didn't go away, and they still have that original poison. They desire animals. Now,
wait, so they're saying that the Nachash was intimate with Eve?
Yeah.
So it wasn't because of pushing Eve to touch the tree, and then she thought, oh, nothing happened. It's okay.
That's what they told you as a kid.
Right.
That's the child version.
Oh, but this is the real thing, which they didn't tell us as a kid. I had to wait till almost 73 to find out the real thing. Oh man, I'm calling up my English.
At least you found out the real thing.
Tosfos mentions
I
over
don't
here.
like snakes.
What about Gerim? What about Gerim? Tosfos says that Gerim don't have the poison either because their mazel was by Har Sinai. And the Neshama was by Har Sinai. They don't have the poison either. See that Tosfos is the bottom Tosfos. Okay, let's leave it over here. We'll continue tomorrow. We're up to date. Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Dr. Stein's story.
Yeah.
Okay. Good night.
You know what's interesting? We're off, right?